The graduation was the absolute peak moment of Thomas's entire life. He stood rigidly, his shoulders squared, the culmination of years of brutal, unforgiving training, finally realized. Every drop of sweat, every sleepless night, every ounce of effort led him here. His family watched from the bleachers, their faces beaming with a pride that was almost tangible. This was a day of honor, of recognized achievement, a milestone that would forever define Thomas. But unknown to him, one person sitting quietly in the crowd held the true key to this entire day. His grandmother, Evelyn, sat tucked away in the front row. She wore a simple dress and a gentle smile, looking exactly like the sweet, elderly woman Thomas knew and loved. She was unassuming, calm, and focused only on her grandson. The formal ceremony was moving quickly. Names were called, honors were distributed, and the air was thick with tradition and respect. Then the commanding officer began to move down the line, a man whose reputation preceded him. This CO was a decorated, imposing figure, a true Navy SEAL veteran who carried the quiet authority of someone who had seen and done things few could even imagine. His duty today was to meet the family members and offer personal congratulations. The CO approached Evelyn's row. He extended his hand, a professional and courteous gesture. As his fingers clasped hers, his eyes naturally fell to her left forearm, visible just above her wrist. There it was, a single, faded, almost invisible tattoo. It was not the crisp, dark ink of a modern design. It was aged, blurred slightly by time, looking like a simple, strange geometric shape, maybe a tiny anchor, or perhaps just a meaningless scribble from a lifetime ago. But the commanding officer did not see a simple scribble. His entire body language shifted in an instant. The professional smile that had been fixed on his face for the last hour vanished completely, replaced by an expression of pure, unfiltered shock. His gaze locked onto the mark, studying it with an intensity that was unnerving. He then raised his hand, a silent but absolute signal. He ordered the entire massive ceremony to stop immediately. The speakers stopped speaking. The band's music died down mid-note. The entire crowd of thousands froze in confusion, their collective attention suddenly fixed on the elderly woman in the front row and the towering commanding officer standing before her. What strange symbol was etched onto her arm? And why, of all people, did a Navy SEAL commander recognize it and deem it important enough to halt the entire proceedings? Evelyn had undertaken a long and arduous journey across 3 state lines just to be here. Her primary mission was simple: to witness Thomas graduate. He was her living legacy, the pride and joy of her later years. Thomas, for his part, knew only the surface details of his grandmother's life. He knew she was patriotic. He knew she had been in the military a long, long time ago. She would never elaborate on her service, offering only vague smiles and saying it was just a job during a different era. To Thomas, and to the rest of the family, she was simply Grandma, a pillar of quiet strength and endless support. The ceremony had started with such predictable formality. Thomas and his fellow graduates, looking sharp and professional, waited with barely contained excitement for their respective moments of recognition. The commanding officer, as the most senior figure present, had been moving with a practiced, efficient cadence, shaking hands and exchanging brief, respectful words. It was a conveyor belt of pleasantries designed for smooth flow. Evelyn had been anticipating her moment, a brief, proud exchange that she would cherish forever. She never expected it to be anything more than that. This was supposed to be Thomas's moment, not hers. But as the CO approached, the air changed, marking the unforeseen moment of discovery. The CO stood over her. He was trained, professionally and personally, to notice the smallest, most significant details. He had shaken her hand firmly, and that was when his routine observation became a moment of revelation. He saw the unique, ancient ink on her forearm. It was so small, so faint, that many would have dismissed it as a birthmark or a smudge. But its design was utterly unmistakable. It was not an anchor at all. It was a precise, stylized image of a phantom dagger, the unofficial unit mark of a group that existed only in whispers and highly classified military records. The symbol signified classified missions of extreme sensitivity, a unit whose very existence was considered a threat to national security if revealed prematurely. The CO, unable to process the shock, leaned in even closer to the seemingly frail woman. His voice dropped to a nearly inaudible whisper, a sound designed to avoid detection even in a crowded stadium. He whispered a single, highly specific question that only a handful of living people could understand. Are you one of the ghosts of 68? Evelyn's years of practiced iron composure finally shattered. The polite smile evaporated. Her eyes, usually so clear and kind, welled up instantly, reflecting decades of buried memory and sacrifice. She did not speak. She simply gave a slow, deliberate nod of confirmation. The CEO recoiled slightly, not in fear, but in pure, overwhelming respect. His shock was now visible, radiating through his military bearing. He knew what this nod meant. He knew the legacy she carried. It was then he made the immediate, unprecedented call, using his absolute command authority to bring the massive public ceremony to a dead stop. The crowd's confusion turned into a loud, frantic buzz of questions and speculation. Every single person waited, breathlessly, for a reason. The commanding officer took the stage once more, his initial agenda completely abandoned. He grasped the microphone, his voice now amplified across the stadium. He had to share this history, this impossible truth, with the world. Today is a celebration of future heroes, he began, his voice ringing with a new, profound reverence. But before we continue, we must take a moment. We must honor a legend whose service was so deep, so essential, and so secret that most of us had no idea she even existed. He extended his hand and pointed directly at Evelyn, who looked down, deeply embarrassed but accepting her fate. He explained the profound and dangerous history behind the tattoo. It was the marking of a highly classified Special Operations Intelligence Unit. They were codenamed the Ghosts of 68. This unit was deployed into the most hostile and unforgiving territories, acting as the eyes and ears of a much larger global operation. Their mandate was high-risk reconnaissance and deep-cover communications operations, so sensitive that they could never officially be acknowledged. The CO revealed that the unit was composed of just 12 hand-selected operatives, chosen for their unparalleled skills, nerves of steel, and to disappear into the shadows. Evelyn, the quiet grandmother in the front row, was one of the originals. She was the specialist in tactical communications, the one who ensured vital information was transmitted and received without interception. Her unit, the Ghosts, had executed missions that, without exaggeration, saved thousands of lives and fundamentally altered the course of several major historical events. Their existence remained classified, their records sealed tight for decades, ensuring their operational safety and the safety of their families. The CO then shared his personal connection, explaining that the legend of the Ghosts was known only in the deepest echelons of the community. His own great-aunt, a woman who had served in the same theater, had once mentioned the unit's unique, secretive call sign. He had heard the stories, always dismissed as hyperbole, until this very moment. He knew the mark was genuine. He knew the identity was true. Evelyn, through all these decades, through raising a family and supporting a grandson, had never told anyone the full truth. Not her children, not even Thomas, her beloved graduate. She carried her immense, quiet heroism as a secret, a profound weight that only the CO truly understood. With a final, deeply sincere, formal salute directed solely at Evelyn, the CEO finished his address. The entire assembly, every graduate, every commanding officer, every family member, every spectator stood as one. A massive, thunderous, emotional applause erupted, a roar of recognition and respect that lasted for what felt like an eternity. It was, without question, the longest and most earned standing ovation the facility had ever seen. Thomas, his face streaked with tears that were a mixture of pride and confusion, rushed down from the graduate section. He didn't care about the protocol, he just needed to reach his grandmother. He embraced her tightly, holding her as if she might vanish back into the shadows she had once haunted. In that moment, he finally understood the source of her quiet strength, her unshakable demeanor. She was not just Grandma. She was a genuine, living American hero, a ghost from history finally acknowledged. The commanding officer then calmly resumed the ceremony, but the atmosphere had been irrevocably transformed. It was no longer just a commencement. It was a spontaneous, powerful tribute to every person whose service remains hidden, whose sacrifices are known only to a few. This moment reminds all of us to always look closer, to dig beneath the surface of the quiet people we love. True strength and profound history often hide in plain sight, waiting for the right moment and the right eye to be revealed. What amazing, untold secrets does your own family history hold? Hit the like button if you believe in honoring these silent veterans, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next amazing story of hidden heroism.